Hello and welcome to Tête-à-Tête, France 24's flagship interview show. Our guest for an exclusive interview today is the Foreign Minister of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Abbas Araghchi. Thank you very much, Mr. Minister.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here today speaking to your program.
You are in Paris. French citizens Cécile, Kohler, and Jacques, who were convicted of espionage in Iran, were released from prison recently after 3.5 years in captivity. They are since at the French embassy in Tehran, awaiting authorization to leave Iranian territory. In exchange, you're requesting that an Iranian citizen, Mahdi Esfandiari, who was arrested here in France in February for terrorism apology and has been released on bail, be exchanged. In mid-September, you said we were very close to the final stage of this exchange. Are you here in Paris to finalize this exchange?
Prisoners exchange, based on international agreements, is commonplace in international affairs. There's nothing surprising or new in it. So this exchange between us and France has been negotiated, and there has been an agreement, and now we're waiting for the legal procedures to be accomplished in both countries. And I hope that over the next 1 or 2 months, depending on legal procedures, I think this will be finished and the exchange will take place.
So you're saying the exchange will indeed take place. Mahdi Esfandiari is supposed to have her trial in mid-January in France. What about Jacques Paris and Cécile Kohler? When will the legal proceedings be finished?
So their trial has already taken place and has been finished. A verdict has been given. But as I said, we're based on Iranian law and law in many other countries. Prisoners based on national interests can be exchanged, and the procedure is decided as part of the Iranian Supreme National Council, Security Council, and all is ready. We're now waiting for legal procedures in France to be finished.
So the exchange will take place mid-January at the latest?
I hope so. This depends on what's happening in the French courts.
So you have the formal agreement from the French government that the decision will go in that direction?
Yes, again, I repeat that prisoner exchange between countries depend on political issues between authorities and on legal agreements between legal authorities. So these are independent powers. Of course, we need coordination between these two powers. In Iran, this coordination has already taken place. Now we're waiting for France to act.
You're also here in Paris to talk about another topic, the nuclear issue. The negotiations have broken down, both with the US and with Europe. Donald Trump, the US president, says repeatedly that he hopes to negotiate with Iran and that he is ready for that. Are there any negotiations with the United States right now? You negotiated before the June conflict with Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff. Do you have any contact with him or with other members of the US administration to resume those negotiations?
Yes, there are not talks at the moment, but channels do exist between me and Mr. Witkoff and Iran. And there are other intermediaries who are also active. But at present, we have no decisions to negotiate because the procedure in the American side, we need that to be real and fair. We are ready to negotiate. We've always been ready to negotiate. In 2015, we negotiated, and we reached a nuclear agreement. In 2025, we were negotiating when Israel and America attacked us. And we are ready to negotiate, but real negotiation that needs to be serious. Negotiation is not a question of dictation. When we, the government, American government, cease dictating things, then they indicate they're really open to proper agreements and negotiations, where then we can achieve a win-win relationship on both sides, and everybody will be pleased with negotiations. When we see that the Americans are ready to move in this direction, we have indicated that we are fully open to things, but we not see that the Americans are acting like this at present.
Can you tell us if you've been in contact with Steve Witkoff or Secretary of State Marco Rubio in recent weeks, and that there are still discussions, even if there are no negotiations?
No. It's been some time that we've had no real contacts and exchange because, I repeat, we've decided that for the Americans that they're not really keen for a negotiation. Once they really want to open things up, then we will be able to revive channels of communication. We are in no hurry. We are waiting for the Americans to be ready for a real negotiation and not just requesting things that are exaggerated.
The Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian sent a letter to the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman just before bin Salman went to the White House, in which he reportedly stated his openness to negotiate on the nuclear issue. The Saudi Crown Prince then said he would do everything possible to have an agreement between the US and Iran. So is Saudi Arabia, with whom you've had very difficult relations, acting as an intermediary between Washington and Tehran?
A number of points. First, the mail between our president and addressed to Mr. bin Salman did not cover nuclear issues. It was referred to the Mecca pilgrimage and expressed thanks for the coordination of Saudi Arabia in this sense and their activity last year and in the preparations for the next pilgrimage. As for nuclear, with regard to Saudi Arabia, we have a full confidence in them. It's for a number of years that we've had good relations with Saudi Arabia, and every day we build confidence between the two countries. There's a real understanding between us, and this will aid help and security in the region. All countries in the region, Iran and Saudi Arabia, the two major powers in the region, are fully engaged in ensuring stability throughout the area. But our problem at the moment is not a question of intermediary in nuclear issues. The problem now, as I've said, is the American attitude. Until the Americans change their stance, it's going to be impossible for negotiations. This is not connected to intermediaries. There are many countries in the region which are friendly countries, and they've tried to be intermediaries, and we are in contact with all of them, and we thank them for their efforts. But again, I repeat, the problem doesn't lie there. It lies with the US.
The problem also involves the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA. The Board of Governors of the IAEA passed a resolution last week demanding full and rapid cooperation from Iran to provide information about the stock of enriched uranium and access to nuclear facilities. Why are you refusing this?
The reason is very simple. The Board of Governors is a political body. The IAEA is a technical body. The Board of Governors is political, and the resolution in question is a political unilateral decision. It was undertaken such that there were no modifications. It gave the impression there was no war at our installation, but as if our civil installations had not been attacked. If you do not include the realities on the ground, then you are committing an error. We have shown our goodwill to cooperate with the agency. We saw that in Cairo, and the role played by our Egyptian friends, Mr. Grossi, for example, and we reached an agreement, the Cairo Agreement, and there was a proper framework for agreement which was established. And Mr. Grossi and the agency agreed within this protocol. We said that the reality on the ground is now different, And a part of this new territory, I asked Mr. Grossi, do we have a real protocol to visit civil installations as part of the agreements? But he said there's not a real protocol for this, so that we can implement new modalities in this sense. So we saw this in the Cairo agreement. So the situation is now dangerous to approach nuclear installations because of security issues. There's risk of American attack. There are munitions which have not exploded. And there are also concerns with regard to radioactivity, for example, and chemical issues. So we cannot approach the installations, those installations which have been bombarded. So we need a proper framework to this end, and the agency agrees on this respect. So, as part of the resolution, this was not included.
The inspectors, are you going to allow them in? Are you negotiating their return to Iran?
So, with regard to inspections of civil nuclear installations which have not been attacked, this is ongoing, so there's no concern in this respect. But with regard to civil installations which have been attacked, then I repeat, we need a new framework and proper modalities to this end. And this needs to be negotiated with the agency. My hope is that the Board of Governors and member states will not take erroneous decisions and do not undermine negotiations with the agency.
In your opinion, is Israel preparing new strikes on Iran's nuclear site? We saw how easily they did this back in June. Is this still a concern, or do you think new strikes are now out of the question?
The Israeli regime over the last 2 years has attacked 7 different countries. So it's clear that another attack is possible. I think the very existence of this regime lies with their determination to attack. But if they attack Iran again, will they secure victory? I think you've already failed on one occasion. I think it's logical not to undertake the same again. So the last time our anti-air system failed, but the same applied in Israel. So our missiles reached their targets, and especially in the last day of the war, they reached their targets in a much more precise fashion. And the Americans in Israel, in the first day when they talked about capitulation on unconditional terms, on the 12th day, they asked for unconditional ceasefire. So they now, after this war, Iran emerged victorious. So we managed to reach very important targets in Israel, and we underpinned our defensive capacity. So I don't think Israel wants to repeat this failure.
Well, that being said, Iran is weakened also by what happens in Lebanon and Syria. Recently in Lebanon, Israel took out the military commander of Hezbollah, Eitan al-Tabatabai, and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard called for vengeance. Are you calling for strikes from Hezbollah on Israel, or do you think this is not the time because the movement is very weakened?
With regard to Lebanon, we have never interfered in their internal affairs. It is the army and the Hezbollah who make their own decisions. The president and the prime minister have condemned the attack. They've said they will use all means necessary to defend the Lebanese people. Now that if Iran is weakened with regard to what's happened in Lebanon, the answer is no. This is not the reality on the ground. It's this type of error which has led Israel to attack us. It's this erroneous interpretation that you've expressed that has encouraged Israel to attack us.
In Syria, the new president, Ahmed al-Shara, paid a historic visit to Washington. He wants to join the anti-ISIS coalition, despite being himself a former jihadist. Since he came to power, he has expelled what he calls the Iranian militias. He has not condemned the Israeli strikes on Iran back in June. Do you consider him a danger to Iran or even an enemy of Iran?
We do not want to interfere in Syrian affairs. I think that Syria at present faces a number of important challenges at the moment which threaten regional stability. So we want a unified Syria which has its own authority, and otherwise the region as a whole will be threatened. So we want the end of the Israel occupation in Syria. So following the fall of Bashar al-Assad, Israel launched the occupation of Syria. The areas occupied in Syria are much larger than in Gaza. Israel occupies the Gaza Strip, Palestine, and Syria. So the real danger is Israel. With its intervention, it's undermining the region. What we want is unity and integrity in Syria, and that's what we defend. And we earnestly hope that Syria will become an area not of crisis, but stability.
But Ahmed al-Shara negotiates with Israel. He criticizes Iran. He is hostile to Tehran, isn't he?
Like a lot of other people, he is mistaken.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister, for being our guest, and thank you for watching this exclusive interview here on France 24.